Brian Mudd Show is on News Radio 610 WIOD.
Yeah, we've got scams that have happened all since the onset of the pandemic, and there are plenty that are continuing. We're going to be joined by Rania Mankarious of Crime Stoppers and of the Rania Report. You check out her podcast as well. And good to have you. How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, very well. I'm glad to be here, not other places. There's not a day that goes by that I'm not thrilled to be in Florida. Which, by the way, so our new police chief in Miami is quite fond of you. Well, you can come join us here in South Florida. Nothing's keeping you in Houston.
Oh, family and life is keeping me in Houston. But yes, Chief Acevedo was one of our. Yes, he's one of our favorites. And I know last time I was on, you were having him on shortly after, and he and I spoke that day. We certainly miss him in Houston, but his replacement's also wonderful. But you guys got a good one. You got a good one with Chief Acevedo.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. It makes me feel even better. I had that sense anyway, but it's good hearing that from you. All right, so we do have scams on stop going on right now. What's one of these scams taking place is involving unemployment benefits. What's happening here, and what should people be mindful of?
Yeah, so the pandemic caused millions to lose their jobs, obviously, and sign up for unemployment. But then there are some of us who we didn't lose our jobs, or we've been busier than ever. But what we found out is that scammers are filing for unemployment benefits under our names, under our Social Security numbers.
Wow.
To places we either work or have never worked, in the states in which we reside, or in states we've never lived in. And they're doing this in record numbers. I'll give you some numbers out of Texas, actually. In 2019, there were 1,100 fraudulent claims filed with our Texas Workforce Commission. By 2020, that number had jumped up to 611,000 fraudulent claims.
Holy cow. And, I mean, the question then becomes, okay, how long can this play out before somebody who is being used this way will figure it out?
That's the big question. So we're asking people to stay on top of their information. With these types of scams and these types of crimes, the best thing to do is to be aware that they're taking place. Monitor your accounts. Check your credit reports. A lot of people will be filing taxes and realize, hey, why am I getting a notice here for unclaimed assets or unclaimed taxes? Or something's going to come up. There'll be a red flag somewhere. Follow those. Don't ignore them. As I said, be on top of it. Not enough people do that because we can't imagine that this type of activity takes place, but it does.
So this might not be a fair question to ask, but you might have an answer to it. So like leading identity protection services, when they do their public record search and you're notified if there's a change in public records, would this type of thing be flagged by them?
I don't know about that other than to say that somebody is going to be using your name and your Social Security number in another state, and that might come up in these type of searches, and that's something to obviously, it's a great question. It's something to look at for sure.
Yeah, because, I flat out lean on that, and it's saved me on so many occasions. There have been numerous attempts in other states on various things, and it's a really good heads up, and it's a good tip. What else is on your radar?
There's just so much going on, and people are calling us almost daily now with different scams that are taking place, and they're all variations of the same thing. People are phishing for your information. We're also dealing with company breaches where people are actually going into different data sources for different companies and stealing information. So it's a point in our time where we have to be super vigilant and careful of our information. I was telling somebody earlier today, unfortunately, these scammers, they operate like businesses. They have a CEO, a CFO, a COO, and they're showing up to work every day, 9 to 5, 8 to 5, like the rest of us, except their only intent is to defraud people. And there is protection. You can get LifeLock or you can get other companies like that. But really the best defense is information. And when you couple that with criminal justice reform that's taking place across our country, with the ease in which technology is bridging different communities together from across the globe, there's just a lot people have to be looking at, and we're happy to be helpful in that endeavor.
One other thing that was on my radar. So we recently found out that Experian in their credit freezes, a lot of people have leaned on that in lieu of, say, identity theft services, because you can do it. It's free one time, and then you turn your back on it and hopefully nobody's opening credit. Although it doesn't prevent things like public records types of searches like you're talking about. And the other issue that can come into play here is, well, if it gets cracked and you don't know about it, you had a chance to take a look at this Experian situation. How big of a deal might this be?
Actually, I don't know. I'm not sure, and I think it's something that we need to look into. I will say that as a point of contact, we're constantly telling people, take advantage once a year. Call the 3 major credit companies, check your records, see what offers they have. I know here in Texas, even with the Texas Workforce Commission, there are a lot of things that they're doing proactively to try to alert you if you're potentially mixed up in some type of fraud. And I know that happens across the country, especially in states like Florida. So, we are developing tools and techniques as these scammers are jumping in and developing their strategies. But there's constantly more that we need to be learning.
Yeah, it's a good thought, and to check with the credit rating agencies and just be mindful that if you did have a credit freeze in place with Experian, that definitely right now be worth looking into, since there seems to be an issue where you had some hackers that were able to compromise some of those. And well, it's always a pleasure. Rania Mankarious, and she's with Crime Stoppers in Houston. You may get the Rania Report or podcast, and we'll talk to you real soon. Appreciate the time.
Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Yeah.